My brother forged my name on an $8,000 wedding contract after seating me by the kitchen trash. He treated me like staff for 20 years. Then demanded I pay his $1,800 penalty. I stayed dead silent. He laughed and told the family I was lying. Until the caterer dropped the real contract on the table. My brother Tyler is 3 years younger than me. Growing up, that gap meant I was always the one who figured things out first: how to drive, how to talk to a landlord, how to file taxes. By the time Tyler needed those things, I'd already been through them, so I just handled it. That's how the whole thing started, and that's how it kept going for the next 20 years. When Tyler's first apartment fell through, his deposit check bounced, and the landlord was threatening to rent to someone else, I covered the difference without him asking. When his license got suspended after a minor accident and he had a job interview across town, I drove him. Both ways. When he decided to propose to Marissa and called me to say he wasn't good with words, I spent a Sunday afternoon helping him write it. The speech, the restaurant reservation, the whole thing. He called me crying after she said yes. I remember thinking that was one of the best phone calls I'd ever gotten. I'm not telling you any of this to sound like a saint. I'm telling you because I need you to understand something. I was the fixer in this family long before anyone gave it a name. I kept the peace. I filled the gaps. I did it because that's what you do when you love someone, and I genuinely loved my brother. Tyler used to say, "You always make everything work, man." I took that as a compliment for a long time. It felt like being seen. It didn't occur to me until much later that it was also a blueprint, a quiet, comfortable expectation that I would always absorb whatever needed absorbing, without complaint, without asking anything back. There was a road trip we took when I was 28 and Tyler was 25. He'd just lost his first real job company. Downsized, he was one of the last hires. He took it hard. I borrowed a truck and drove 4 hours to help him move his things back home. He offered gas money and I told him not to worry about it. Tyler was quiet most of the drive. Then somewhere in the middle of nowhere, he rolled down the window and started singing along to whatever was on the radio, badly, loudly, without apology. The way you only sing around someone you trust completely. After a while, he looked over at me and said, "I know you're always there." I didn't say anything. I just kept driving. I thought about that road trip a lot while I sat in the folding chair by the kitchen door. I kept trying to figure out if he had meant it that he knew I was always there. Maybe he did. Maybe something real had slowly become something assumed, and at some point the assumption replaced the feeling entirely, and no one noticed because I never stopped showing up. But I was starting to think someone should have noticed, and I was starting to think that someone was going to have to be me. 6 weeks before the wedding, I got an email I was never supposed to see. The wedding planner had sent the final seating chart to a group that included me, a mistake probably. The subject line was, "Final seating chart V3, please review." I opened it the same way you open anything that lands in your inbox mid-afternoon. Without thinking. I assumed someone would realize the error and ask me to delete it. Then I saw my name near the bottom of the list. Adrian, Tyler's brother +1. Not groomsman. Not brother. Not even just Adrian. The +1 designation, the kind of label you put next to a guest, someone brought along someone without their own standing at the event. I read the line 3 times. I checked the subject line again. Version 3. 6 weeks out. This wasn't an early draft someone forgot to update. This was the final chart. I called Tyler that afternoon. Kept my voice level. "Hey, I got copied on the seating chart by accident. It says +1 next to my name. I just wanted to check in about that." There was a pause. Then Tyler laughed, not the apologetic kind, the kind that signals you're about to be told you're overreacting. "Come on, bro. It's just a label. Don't make this a thing." I waited. He filled the silence. The seating was handled professionally, Marissa said from somewhere in the background. She'd apparently been listening the whole time. No offense intended. 2 sentences. No offer to fix it, no explanation for how it happened. And before I could say anything else, Tyler said, "I gotta go. We're tasting cake samples," and the call was over. I put my phone down and sat with that for a long time. The night before the wedding, I drove to the venue to help arrange the last of the flowers, because of course I did. That's what fixers do. The hall was half lit. The catering team already moving through the back. Near the kitchen entrance, I noticed a single folding chair sitting slightly apart from everything else. No surrounding table, no cluster of seats, just one chair off to the side, like it had been placed there and forgotten. I walked past it without stopping. I should have asked someone whose seat that was. But somewhere underneath the part of me that was still trying to keep the peace, I think I already had a feeling. The wedding was beautiful. I want to be clear about that. The flowers, the lighting, the music. All of it was exactly what Tyler and Marissa had planned. and I had helped plan a significant portion of it. I sat in the folding chair for most of the reception. At one point, a guest I didn't recognize leaned over and asked, "Are you with catering?" I told him no. He nodded and moved on without another word. I watched Tyler at the head table laughing, leaning into Marissa, completely at ease. Our parents were 2 tables over in the warm inner ring of the room, surrounded by aunts and cousins and people. Tyler had decided mattered tonight. I could see my father's face clearly from where I was sitting. He couldn't see mine. He didn't know where to look. The slip of paper clipped to my chair still said Adrian +1 TBD. To be determined. I sat with that phrase long enough for it to settle. My seat at my own brother's wedding was still a question someone hadn't gotten around to answering. During the cocktail hour, I found Tyler near the bar and kept my voice low. "Hey, can we find a minute to talk about the seating?" He turned to look at me. He had a champagne flute in one hand, and the easy smile of a man who had decided nothing was going to touch him today. The smile wasn't for me. It was for the room. "Come on, Adrian. Not today. Today is not about you." He said it without lowering his voice. One of Marissa's bridesmaids was standing 2 feet away. She heard every word. Marissa appeared at his side a moment later. "We had a lot of constraints," she said, already glancing past me toward someone across the room. "You understand?" She didn't ask. She concluded. And just like that, the conversation was over. Tyler turning back toward his guests. Marissa touching someone's arm, both of them moving on as if I'd raised nothing at all. I walked back to the kitchen side of the room. Aunt Carol found me there, not long after. She looked at the folding chair, then at me, then back at the chair again. She asked why I wasn't at the family table. I didn't answer with words. I pulled out my phone and showed her the seating chart email, my name near the bottom of the list, the +1 label printed right next to it. She read it slowly. Cousin Lauren and Cousin Ryan had drifted over by then. They read it too. Nobody said anything for a long moment, but every one of them had seen it now. And that was the first time I realized I wasn't the only one who thought something was wrong. 3 days after the wedding, I was in my apartment when my phone buzzed. Tyler's name on the screen. I picked it up, expecting something normal. A thank you, maybe. A quick check-in. Something. Adrian the caterer is saying there's a balance due from the reception. $1,800 something. Nancy from the company says, if we don't pay by end of week, they're adding a late fee on top. Can you call her and sort it out? Not can you help me figure this out? Not do you know anything about this? Just sort it out. Like it was already mine to handle. I looked at the message for a long time. Tyler was in Phuket. I knew because Marissa had been posting photos since the night of the wedding, beach chairs, cocktails, the kind of trip that costs more than most people's monthly rent. I called Nancy anyway. Not to fix it. I just wanted to understand what had happened. Nancy was professional, patient. Clearly tired of this situation. She explained. The initial deposit had come in $600 short at the time of booking. The remaining balance wasn't paid on schedule, which triggered a $1,200 late payment penalty under the contract terms. Total outstanding $1,800. Standard stuff, she said. It was all in the agreement. Then she said something I wasn't expecting. The person listed as the logistics contact on our booking form, the one we've been trying to reach for weeks. That's you, Adrian. Your name and your number. I asked her to repeat that. She did. Tyler had listed me as the logistics coordinator on the catering contract. My name, my phone number. Without asking me, without telling me, I had been the point of contact for an $8,000 catering arrangement, and I hadn't known it existed. Nancy emailed me the invoice before we even finished the call. I opened it while she was still on the line. There it was, my name in the contact field, the shortfall, the penalty, all of it laid out in plain numbers. I told her I'd be in touch. I didn't tell her what I was going to do. That afternoon, my phone buzzed again. A voicemail from Marissa. 47 seconds. Adrian, I need you to handle this. You were supposed to handle logistics from the beginning. The catering issue is a result of poor coordination on your end. If you can't put a card down to hold it, at least call Nancy and buy us some time. Tyler and I shouldn't have to deal with this on our honeymoon. No, please. No acknowledgement that I hadn't agreed to any of this. Just handle it. The same word Tyler had used in his text. Handle it. As if I were staff. As if that had always been the arrangement and I just hadn't been told. I listened to it 3 times. Then I saved it. I put my phone face down on the kitchen counter and sat without moving for 20 minutes. Didn't call Tyler back. Didn't call Marissa. Didn't call Nancy. I just sat in the quiet with a feeling I couldn't quite name yet, something that was starting to look a lot less like confusion and a lot more like clarity. After 20 minutes, I got up, made coffee, and went to work. But I did not delete that voicemail. The next morning, I opened a new folder on my phone. I named it Wedding. I moved things into it one by one. The screenshot of the seating chart, email my name near the bottom, the +1 label. The photo I had taken of the folding chair the night before the ceremony, name card clipped to the back. The text thread where Tyler had asked me to sort out the catering. The saved voicemail from Marissa. The PDF invoice Nancy had emailed the shortfall. The penalty. The contact field with my name in it. 7 files. 4.2 megabytes. I sat with that folder open on my screen for a while. For years, whenever something like this happened, a slight I couldn't quite explain, a moment that felt wrong but that I'd been told wasn't, I'd eventually talked myself out of it. Told myself I was being too sensitive. Told myself that keeping the peace was worth more than making a point. But looking at that folder, I couldn't do that anymore. The evidence was too specific. The pattern was too clear. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was exaggerating. I wasn't the +1. I wasn't the fixer. I was the person who had kept this family running for 20 years and been given a folding chair at the end of it. I didn't say that out loud. I just closed the folder and set my phone down. That evening, Aunt Carol called. She didn't waste time. I didn't know it was that bad, Adrian. Lauren and Ryan saw it too. We all did. I said, I know. She waited to see if I had more. I didn't. After a moment, she said she was sorry, and I told her thank you, and we left it there. She didn't ask me what I was going to do next. Maybe she already sensed that I had stopped asking myself that question too, and that I was getting close to an answer. 2 weeks after the wedding, Tyler posted in the family group chat. I almost missed it. I had been checking that thread less since the reception. Less of a lot of things, if I'm honest. But his message came through on a Tuesday evening, and I read it standing in my kitchen. Really disappointed with the catering service from the reception. Nancy's team was unprofessional. There were billing issues that cost us extra money on top of everything else we were already dealing with. I'd warn anyone in the family not to use them for future events. It was a stressful situation we had to manage even during our honeymoon. No mention of the deposit that came in $600 short at booking. No mention of the $1,200 penalty that followed. No mention of my name on a contract I never agreed to. Just billing issues. Nancy's team, unprofessional. The kind of complaint that sounds credible to anyone who wasn't there and doesn't have access to the actual invoice. My mother replied within minutes. That's awful, baby. You deserved better for your special day. My father. Can you leave a review somewhere? I read the whole thread. I read Lauren's reply. Ugh. So frustrating, written without any idea what she was actually agreeing with. I put my phone down, and then I waited 24 hours. Not to plan anything. Not to write a draft and revise it. I just wanted to be sure, completely sure, that what I was about to do was something I actually wanted to do. And not just something I was doing because I was angry. Angers passe. I needed to know that when it did, I'd still feel the same way. 24 hours later, I opened the group chat. The thread was still there. My mother's message, my father's message, Lauren's message, all of it sitting on top of a version of events that wasn't true. I opened my wedding folder. I posted 3 images and 4 sentences. The first image was a screenshot of the seating chart, email my name, near the bottom of the list, the +1 label circled. The second was the photo I had taken the night before the ceremony. The folding chair beside the kitchen entrance, the name card clipped to the back of it. The third was the catering invoice. Nancy had emailed me, 2 lines highlighted, $600 underpaid deposit at booking, and $1,200 late payment penalty. Under the images I wrote, the deposit was underpaid by $600 at booking. The late fee was the result of non-payment. I was listed as the logistics contact on the contract without my knowledge. I didn't handle it this time. I posted it at 9:14 on a Wednesday morning. Then I put my phone in my bag, went to the kitchen, and made coffee. I didn't check the thread again for almost an hour. When I did, the first response was from Aunt Carol. Adrian, I am so sorry you were treated this way. Then Lauren, wait, he was actually seated next to the kitchen. Then Ryan. He didn't write anything. He just posted a photo one he'd taken at the reception. A candid shot from across the dance floor. In the background, slightly out of focus but completely visible, was the folding chair. And sitting in it alone, while every other guest danced, was me. I looked at that photo for a long time. I hadn't known anyone had taken it. My father didn't reply. My mother didn't reply. About an hour later, Tyler posted in the thread, "You didn't have to do this here." I didn't respond. My phone buzzed shortly after a private message from Marissa. "This is embarrassing and petty." I read it. I didn't respond to that either, because I hadn't posted 3 images and 4 sentences to embarrass anyone. I had posted them because Tyler had written something untrue in a family group chat, and the people who loved him had believed it without question. I hadn't called anyone names. I hadn't asked anyone to take a side. I had put the documents next to the claim and let them sit there together. The truth didn't need my help after that. My mother called first. "Why would you put that in the group chat, Adrian? That's family business. You could have gone to Tyler directly." I told her I had. More than once. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said it again in a different order, that there were better ways to handle things, that this wasn't how the family dealt with problems, that I had embarrassed everyone. I listened. I didn't argue. When she finished, I told her I understood how she felt and I meant it. Then the call was over. My father called an hour later. His voice was different, slower, less certain about where it was going. We talked for about 8 minutes. He didn't say much. At one point, there was a long pause. And then he said, "I didn't know you were seated there, Adrian." Not "I'm sorry." Not "that was wrong." Just "I didn't know." I told him I figured as much. Another pause. He said he'd talk to Tyler. I didn't ask him what that meant or what would come of it. I just said, "Okay," and we said goodbye. And that was that. It wasn't the conversation I might have wanted, but there was something in those 8 words that I'd been waiting a long time to hear, even if they hadn't come out quite right. The letter arrived 4 days later. 2 pages handwritten. Tyler's handwriting careful at the beginning, looser toward the end, the way it gets when he's been writing for a while and stops watching himself. He said he hadn't known about the seating arrangement until after the fact. He said Marissa had handled that side of the planning, and he should have paid closer attention. He said he should have stood up for me when I came to him at the cocktail hour, and he was sorry he hadn't. He said he knew I had always been there for him. It was a real letter. I want to give him that, but there was nothing in it about the +1 label on the seating chart that had been sent 6 weeks before the wedding. Nothing about my name on the catering contract I'd never agreed to. Nothing about 20 years of being the person this family called when something needed fixing. He apologized for the things that had happened in front of other people. The rest of it, the long, quiet pattern underneath, he either didn't see yet or wasn't ready to name. I read it twice. I folded it carefully and took a photo of it and added it to the wedding folder. Then I set it on my kitchen table and left it there. A few days after that, Lauren sent me a private message. "For what it's worth, I always thought you were the one who held everything together. That chair was wrong, and we all see it now." I read it twice, too. I typed "thank you" and sent it and put my phone down. Someone in the family had apparently shared the group chat thread to a wider social media post. I still don't know who. A friend mentioned it, so I looked it up. There were comments from people I'd never met. I read one. It said he was the fixer, and they gave him a folding chair. I've never related to anything more. I put my phone down after that and didn't read the rest. It wasn't something I needed to sit inside for very long. A week after the letter arrived, I texted Tyler. 3 words. I received it. I sent it at 7:02 the morning before I left for work, and I put my phone in my pocket and walked out the door. He replied an hour later. "I really am sorry, man." I read it on my lunch break. I didn't respond. Not because I wanted to punish him, I didn't. But I received it was exactly what I meant. I had read the letter. I knew it existed. What came next wasn't something I could answer in a text message on a Tuesday, and I wasn't going to pretend otherwise just to make the silence easier for someone else. I didn't check that thread again for 2 weeks. About a month later, Tyler called. He needed help moving some furniture. A heavy bookshelf. The kind of thing he would have called me about without thinking twice, and the kind of thing I would have said yes to before he finished the sentence. "I can't this time," I said. A short pause. Then, "Okay." No pushback, no guilt. Just okay, and then goodbye. The call lasted 45 seconds. I hung up and stood in my kitchen for a moment. It wasn't satisfaction. It wasn't grief. It was something closer to the feeling you get when you've been carrying something heavy for too long and you finally set it down. I thought about the folding chair sometimes. I probably always will. For a long time, I believed that being the fixer was the price of belonging, that keeping the peace was how you kept the family. I absorbed the disrespect quietly. I showed up without asking for anything back. And somewhere along the way, I let that become the whole of who I was in this family. A+1 is not the same as family. A chair by the kitchen door is still outside the room. I'm done being the +1.